Hello, I'm glad you're here on my channel. My name is Corey and I want to explain to you a few of the documents that you will need in Mexico if you are going to move to Mexico and if you're a Mexican citizen, because I know that there's many Mexican citizens that have not been to Mexico since they were children, and with everything that's going on in the world, I see a lot of people want to move to Mexico. And so we're going to go ahead and discuss that. I'm going to tell you my story. My name is Karina and I am a Mexican citizen. I was 1 year old when I went to go live in the United States. My parents took me and my brother when we were infants to California, and that's where I was raised. I was there since I was 1 year old, and my brother was just probably a couple of months. So long story short, at some point in time, I decided to move to Mexico, and I started to look into the process. And I had never been to Mexico. I had no Mexican documentation. So it was going to be like obviously I was starting brand new. So when I got here and I went through the process, I didn't realize how complicated the bureaucracy is here. So I wanted to make this video to help people make it easier, and that way you know what you expect, and maybe there's something that you can do while you're in the States, because obviously the Mexican Consulate can help. Okay, so what I did is, when I figured out that when I decided I was gonna move to Mexico, I started doing my planning in regards to my documents. So the only birth certificate I had was a very old birth certificate, which was like, it's kind of like, looked like the 10 Commandments kind of form. It was really long and really old. But long story short, so I found out I can get some of my documents at the Mexican Consulate. But I'm going to tell you the documents you need, because this is a list. Once you moved to Mexico, you need all of this, and you can start getting some of them in the US. It would make your life much easier, I guarantee you. And I'll explain some stuff like in regards to the I.N.E. That is the end all be all identification in Mexico, and you can get it in the United States. And it will be so much easier when you move here to Mexico to just go into the I.N.E. office, which is the Electoral ID card. And all you need to do is do an address change. And I didn't know that. So I found out later on that it would have been easier if I would have just got my I.N.E. in the United States, because you can get your I.N.E. at the consulate, because you are able to vote for the Mexican presidency, whatever you want to vote for. If you're not in the Mexican territory, you are able to use your I.N.E. card in the US to vote. Okay, but you will need these things, because as a Mexican citizen, and also if you're married to a US citizen, some of these things your US citizen partner will need, and I can explain that later on in a maybe second half of the video, or in a different video in regards to partners and immigration. So you will need, I have notes here because I wanted to get everything in order when I was explaining to you. It's so complicated, like I said. You will need your passport, your birth certificate, your I.N.E. in Mexico, you need that. If you could get your Matricula, which is a U.S. identification card for a Mexican citizen, it's a Matricula like you would call California ID. Matricula is a U.S. ID that Mexican citizens can use to open a bank account or whatever it is. Because you can use that. There's other things that you can do with it. It's a legal document. And also, you will need to get here in Mexico, you will also have to get an R.F.C., your Constancia Fiscal, which is like a credit report, because you are asked for that later on. I'm going to explain. And the I.N.E., if you come and get the I.N.E. here in Mexico, it is going to be a long wait, and the bureaucracy is just insane. And if you want to get your driver's license here in Mexico, it is up to you. But to get that driver's license, you have to go through a lot also, and I will explain that. But you could use your U.S. license in Baja California. So as long as you're like 50 miles away from the border, you are able to use your U.S. license to drive here and never really have to worry about it. It is up to you, whatever you choose to do. But if you have a U.S. license, you may not drive a Mexican vehicle that has Mexican plates. That is illegal. So also you will need a Mexican phone number, because after that, if you are going to move to Mexico, I assume you're going to want to open a Mexican bank account. You need a Mexican phone number, because to open a Mexican bank account, you will need a Mexican phone number, your I.N.E., your R.F.C, and your Constancia Fiscal. And like I said, it's so many documents. And you can also get your social security number, and you would think the R.F.C is your social, but it's not. You can get your social security number once you get your birth certificate, and on your birth certificate you are signed a group. Let me start from the beginning. So this is what you can do. Okay, you go to the consulate. You can get your Mexican passport if you don't have one. So I'm going to talk to you guys like if you don't have anything now. So you get your Mexican passport, and if you have a birth certificate that's old, you go there and they will give you a new one, and you just go through the process. You can get your I.N.E at the consulate also. And you can get your Matricula. So passport, birth certificate, I.N.E, and a Matricula. If you have some kind of issue with your name that you are using in the United States right now, and it is not your birth name, you must get, let's say, like my issue was that I was using the last name of my ex-husband because I had children from him, and I didn't want to change my last name from my children. So they all grew up, and I still was carrying that name of the ex. So when I went to the consulate, they looked at the documents. They're like, well, they gave my birth certificate, I gave my ID, and I explained that I was divorced, blah, blah, blah. They're like, you need to bring the marriage certificate where it shows when you changed your name from your maiden to this person's name. So I left the consulate the first time. I waited for the marriage certificate. I had to order it through county records. As you all know, that takes time. When I finally received the marriage certificate that shows that that's my name changed from my maiden name to the marriage name that I was carrying on my California identification, then it was easy peasy. They no hassle. They saw how the name transitioned, and I got my passport, my birth certificate. They gave me a new one. They straight up printed it out for free. They did not charge you. So they printed me a new birth certificate. But the first time they gave me my new birth certificate, that's when I had to leave. They still printed me one out and then sent me on my way. So you need to come back with the marriage certificate that shows where your name changed and blah, blah, blah. I got the matricula the second time. I got my passport the second time when I went with that marriage certificate that I finally received. And they told me if I got the I.N.E there, that it was not going to be any good. The I.N.E is a voter ID card. They didn't explain, and I had that problem here when I got here also at the I.N.E office. I think it's the staff. They're just not up to par. They're not very professional at times. But if you get your I.N.E in the United States, that I.N.E card is only valid in the United States to vote in Mexico. So they told me when I wanted to get the I.N.E, I believe it's free. I did have to pay for the passport and matricula. That's the only thing I had to pay for. The I.N.E, I could have gotten it there, and I did not know that I.N.E would have been valid in Mexico, that I just had to go to the I.N.E office, which is the Electoral office. It's really simple once you really know and navigate it, to do an address change and say, I'm here, I live here, and all you have to do is take a bill with an address on there. It could be your family's bill, water, electric bill. They require, sometimes they don't take like other kind of things. It has to be the water, electric, or Wi-Fi. Those are the only things. And that would have been easier if I would have gotten my I.N.E card in California. When I didn't do it, they explained to me that if I get it there, I would just have to do an address change in Mexico. Well, I wish I would have done it in the U.S. because I went through so much trouble to get the I.N.E card at the I.N.E office. It was too much. I went twice. I woke up at 3 a.m. one time to get in line, and another one at 4 a.m. So that's a whole debacle. Okay, you can make your appointment at the consulate, which was super convenient on the WhatsApp application. On WhatsApp, the phone number, I'm going to go ahead and let you say it right now, but I'm going to write it on the description, is 424-309-0009 on WhatsApp. That's the Mexican Consulate. I couldn't believe that it was as simple as doing a text on WhatsApp. You dial the number, you text the number with the word CITA or CITA, and that activates the text thread. and it says hello, response hello, where would you like, what can I help you with? And you just, there's an option, it's super simple, trámites. And then it starts asking you questions, what state you're in, what county, where would you like, and it gives you the options and times, because in regards to, it responds to the information you're texting back. So simple. And I made so many appointments on there to go and different cities to see which way I can actually, which one would take me in sooner. And that was super simple. That's how you get an appointment at the consulate. So I got those documents. I ended up moving. So I left with the passport, my new birth certificate, and a matricula. And I needed those documents so I can get into Mexico, because I can't just cross over and say I'm Mexican. Of course I belong here. No, they didn't see documentation. All I had was U.S. documentation. So after that, you need to make an appointment at the S.A.T office. Let me see this right here because I have to keep it in order. So you make an appointment at the S.A.T office. The S.A.T office is like the Social Security office in a way, but it's not. It's a government office. At the S.A.T office, you have to go register yourself, your name, because you will be asked for this, and get your R.F.C number. The R.F.C stands for Registro Federal Contribuyente, is what you contribute financially. So that's really exactly what it means. And it sounds like a social security number because you leave with a form with the R.F.C number on there. That's not your social security number. That's another story. So at the same time, you will get also with your R.F.C, you will get a report, because it's like the Social Security office in a sense, but it's really not. Constancia Fiscal, a form, and it'll say you don't owe anything. So it's like a little mini credit report, and it's called Constancia Fiscal. You will receive it with the R.F.C. And to make that appointment, you can go to CITA's S.A.T gob.mex, and I will put that on description as well, so don't worry about that. And when you go to that appointment, also you would need proof of a bill, like a utility water bill, I believe internet bill also works, and the electric also. And that's it. You would need that, and take the rest of your documents with you that you receive, like your passport. Of course, you want to take all that. Every document that you have already gotten, take that with you. So when you get that, make sure you make the appointment, because they only take appointments online. So you cannot walk it into the S.A.T office. So the I.N.E, then comes the I.N.E, which is the end all be all in Mexico. The I.N.E is the one I was telling you about that you can get in the States. In the States, they didn't explain to me that I could have just changed the address here and I would have been easy peasy, fine. So to get the I.N.E here, you can make an appointment online on the gov.gov website, Gobierno Mex. But I did a walk-in, and I woke up at 3 a.m. the first time. No, I'm sorry, 3:30, was there at 4, and I had all my documents. I had my birth certificate, passport, my CURP. Oh, I forgot to mention that. With your birth certificate, when you're born, you are assigned a CURP number. That's another number, and I thought it was also your social security number. So I forgot to write that here, so I hope I don't confuse you. CURP is C-U-R-P. That stands for your population number of the state you were born in. So it is assigned on your birth certificate. And the government has been talking about getting rid of that, because it doesn't, to me, I feel like there's just too many numbers flying around here. Like you have to have a CURP or R.F.C, I think your I.N.E. I mean, you have to have so many things. It's just insane. Okay, so when you do go to you will be asked for all those documents. And so at the I.N.E office, you need to have your birth certificate, passport, CURP, a utility bill of the county that you are registering the I.N.E, because it's a voter ID card. So it's got to be in the state. So you have to be living locally in the county, and your R.F.C. And if you have a driver's license, also take it. I mean, but Mexican driver's license. You have to have 3 of those. So if you don't have anything to identify, like three of those, like if you have a birth certificate but an expired passport, the identifications have to be current. That's what I mean. Matricula works, the one that you get in the States. So birth certificate, passport, matricula, could, I believe that it has to be three identifications. If you don't have three, including your R.F.C and driver's license, anything, you will have to take 2 witnesses to say they know who you are and that you are so and so and so and so. Yeah, that's crazy. So if you don't have any documents to prove your identity that are current, you actually have to take 2 people out of their lives, anybody, and those 2 people are your witnesses to say you are that name. Like if I had to take a witness, yes, I know Corey, she is my friend, neighbor, whatever, and it has to be 2 people that have their I.N.E card already. So it gets complicated. I just don't see why people wouldn't have their identifications here, but you can do that, some kind of a witness. Oh man, when I got in line the first time, and some lady came out and they discouraged of all the walk-ins, and this lady tricked me and told us that I needed 2 witnesses because there was so much commotion in the front. I don't even understand why. The lady comes out and says, you walk-ins will be taken after all appointments, and I didn't care. I was waiting. Somehow or another, the conversation came up. Somebody asked about a witness, and then I asked her, I need to have a witness? She's like, yes, you need to have a witness, and I didn't understand. I'm thinking we're really confused there, so I left, and I went back 2 days later, and I said, no, I don't need a witness. I was sitting there trying to make sense of everything. I had all my documents. Why would I need a witness? And I went back. I was very upset. So I went back. I actually got my I.N.E. I had all my documents that I needed, which was basically everything because I had already gotten everything. And they took my picture and got me registered, and they gave me an appointment for 2 weeks later to pick up my identification card, my voter ID card. I didn't get it right there and then. I don't know what they do, but they probably do like a background check and stuff like that. Okay, went and picked it up 2 weeks later, done. So then comes the opening of the bank account. With the bank account process, you need to have your I.N.E card, you need to have your R.F.C and a Mexican phone number. Let me look at this. Yes. So you need to get the Mexican phone number first as soon as you get your I.N.E card, because you cannot get a phone number. You can't get a phone line, a cell phone line, if you do not have your R.F.C, Constancia Fiscal, and I think that's it, because your I.N.E has all your information on there. So once you've gotten your I.N.E, the system already knows that, the cell phone company knows you already went through the system to get all this document, so you're good. So they just need your I.N.E, your Constancia Fiscal, your R.F.C. Yes, you need all that to get a cell phone number. It is insane. They're doing some kind of crackdown now. They're getting everybody's documents. There's no such thing as burner phones in Mexico. I thought that there would still be, or prepaid phones, and no, there's no such thing. So the reason for that is they're trying to crack down on crime, hostage phone calls, things like that. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. It happens all over the world, so what can I say? So that's why they're doing that. And there's a lot of pushback on that, because you also have to get fingerprinted when you activate a cell phone line. Okay, when I got my phone number, go to the bank. The bank, I finally have, because I went to the bank once and they didn't want to, I couldn't open a bank account. I had no documents. I thought I was enough with just my R.F.C and Matricula. No, it's not the same as in the States. In the States, you can go in with your ID and a social security number. Boom, you're set, and it's fast. No, it's not like that here. Unfortunately, the bureaucracy is insane. Go to the bank and if you want to open the bank account, you will need your R.F.C. If you have your passport, I think they ask for the passport too, the I.N.E, and your Mexican phone number, and you're good to go. You're golden. So that's what you need. And it took them about an hour and a half to open my bank account. I was sitting there on the desk forever. And mind you, I'm a Mexican citizen. I was not a person with a green card. It was just insane. they're just slow, and so I feel like in some ways they're a little incompetent. They're just not fast, and they have all these numbers. Like, what is the reason for these numbers? You know, the R.F.C, your CURP, that is your population number that is on your birth certificate. I mean, I thought at first that was a social security, and as time went on, keep hearing about all these documents. It's not. It's insane. And what I also did not realize recently, I found out. So you do have a social security number in Mexico, and I couldn't believe it. And I thought I was going to be able to get a job with my RFC number. No, it's a social security number. That's what you need. So you can get your social security number if you go on the website. Let me show you. Okay. When you log in, I printed this out to show you. You can see how it has different options right here. And this is the website gob.mex, and there you can make your appointments and get your social security number also. You can get your birth certificate there. You can make an appointment for your passport if you want to renew it. Your CURP is right here. Like, this is very informative. If you want to take a screenshot, go ahead. I'll keep it up for a moment. There you go. So I want to show you what the CURP is. This CURP, this is mine. I blacked everything out. This is what you print out when you get your birth certificate. You go online on the website, the government website, like I told you, and just want to register your CURP. So you go in there, you see the CURP on your birth certificate. You just follow the process and enter the CURP number, and then it actually gets activated or recorded. Like, okay, and then you print that sheet out, and that is it. So if you are a Mexican citizen, when you print it out, it will say Soy Mexico. If you are not a Mexican citizen, a legal resident, it will not say Soy Mexico. It will be blank. And I know that because my husband has one. He got assigned a CURP when he got his temporary residency card. Because he is married to me as a Mexican citizen, he got a green card immediately, and all these documents he had to get. And so we were able to download everything online. But it was very difficult for me. I had to get my uncle's wife to help me make all these appointments, and that I had to go to the S.A.T office to get my R.F.C and my Constancia Fiscal. And I almost forgot, at the R.F.C, at the S.A.T office, where you go in and you talk to them and you give them a proof of your address and everything, take a USB memory card. They tell you, and I couldn't believe that. I'm like, why do I need to take a USB memory card? Because they put your information on a USB card, and you will always have that, so you can have that for your documents. But they also give you a form copy sheet of your R.F.C and your Constancia Fiscal. So just take a bunch of copies of that. And they said that it's got it in, so in case if you lose this form, you have a copy. And what it is that when you go somewhere, like the banks, and there's a lot of places that you will go, and they will need a copy of your R.F.C. And so you start giving them out. So you make sure you have like 10 copies of everything. So when it came to, and I, just because I put the electricity under my name and my home, since I just bought it, I had to give them a copy of all that. The R.F.C, my I.N.E, and they get a copy of it. So they don't just want to see it. They want you to bring a copy sometimes. Everywhere you go, they want you to bring a copy. They will not waste money on ink and paper. And once you do that with the bank, you're good to go. But the driver's license is another thing. If you want to get your driver's license, that's a whole debacle. You can make the appointment online. You would have to navigate the system, the appointment system, because I'm not very good at it. All these appointments, I had my uncle's wife. She is Venezuelan, and she immigrated from Venezuela many years ago, and she's very good with the system here, and she made all these appointments for me. So when I came to live to Mexico, she helped me do everything. I don't know what I would have done without her, because my Spanish isn't that great. I can read Spanish also, but sometimes some of these words are just too big, words I've never heard, so it was tough. And then little did I realize, I didn't even know, I mean, I forgot to push translate on the computer, so I would have been able to actually read this in English, and I didn't do that. I don't know why I didn't think about that until recently. I was like, why did I translate everything in English? I would have been able to read everything, all the information I needed. Anyway, live and learn, right? So with the driver's license, it's up to you if you want to get a license or not. But I'm not going to get too deep into that because that's going to be a choice if you're going to be driving. If you have a license in California, it is good here in Tijuana and Rosarito Beach, and they were 50 miles from the border. They got the I forgot the other city. I forgot, but your California driver's license is okay. You're good. You'll be fine. It is legal to drive with a California driver's license, but do not drive a Mexican vehicle. The car that you drive has to have U.S. plates on it if you're driving a California license. You cannot drive a Mexican vehicle, Mexican plated vehicle at all. And a Mexican citizen with a Mexican license cannot be driving a U.S. vehicle, U.S. license and plate vehicle. It is illegal also. So you can get your car towed. Be very careful. With those appointments, I had a tough time with the driver's license, to be honest with you. But with the driver's license, they do ask you for your I.N.E. They do ask you for your R.F.C. They ask you for proof of address. You take a medical exam. But there's a little office next to the DMV. They know. It's so simple. You just go in there and you pay. I think it was like $30 for the physical. They do blood pressure and check your tongue, like in your throat. And that is it. They just want to make sure that you don't have any illnesses. They observe you and you look nice and healthy. There you go. You got your certification right there. You sign it, and that's what you give to the DMV attendant when it's your turn. Also, let me think. You do have to have proof of address, and you do your driver's license test, the driving test first. You don't do the written exam test first. And your driving test is not really a driving test. It is a parallel park test, and that is it. If you can parallel park, you will get your license and you will find out. So, and it's in a Rosarito where I did mine. It is in a cul-de-sac, and there's nobody running through there. It's just the way they're set up back there. They tell you parallel park. Do not hit the sidewalk. You're good to go. So I had to go 3 times because I couldn't do it. I wasn't driving my vehicle, and I couldn't drive my vehicle because it had U.S. plates. So it was complicated. The person that has to go with you has to have Mexican driver's license and has to be the registered owner of the car, just like they do in the U.S. states. And they have to have this letter. You can download it. Anybody can download it. It's called the Carta Responsiva Vehicular. And she'll just put her name and the name of the vehicle, insurance, and that's it. And her ID. And that's it. Yeah, that one's a little bit too much also. But let me tell you about the Social Security number before I forget, because I just found out that there is a Social Security number assigned, and I'm like, what the hell? I just found out this from another YouTuber because she lives in Mexico City and she was ready to go to work, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, wait, we do have Mexican. I even texted her and she responded. She's like, yeah, we do have Mexican. And I actually went online and I figured out how to get mine. You can get your Social Security number in the States before you even move here because it's all online. So since you go on the web page, you can print out your birth certificate also on the web, on the Mexican government page. You just have to know your CURP number. So remember, you have to register the CURP number. They're on your birth certificate on the new ones. Let me see this, IMS right here. It says IMS. That's one of the appointments that you can, that's one of the departments you can go in there on that particular front page. So when the page opens, it gives you the important stuff. Like, what do you want to do? It says you want to activate your CURP, birth certificate, passport, your SSI, or your Constancia Fiscal. Well, those are the very much important things that you need to take care of if you're a citizen here. And so those are the options they give you right away, which is really good. You have to go in the IMSS department, click on there and navigate it on there, and then they'll ask you for your CURP and you'll get your Social Security number right there. Simple as that. They'll email it to you, put in the information, and then when it's downloading, it'll go blank and you're like, what the heck, what happened? So let me check my email. It seems like they disconnected you, but they don't. They email it to you and then you print it out. It's a form and it's like a Social Security card, but it's on paper. You print it out so you can have to laminate it. That's how cheesy it is. But go on the IMSS section of the website, like I was telling you, and you will be able to find it in there. I had to navigate it for about 20 minutes. I'm like, where is this? I know it says right here, Social Security information. So I was able to do it. Then I printed it out and it was just fine. So just be patient with yourself. It's not you, it's the system here. I mean, it's very complicated. The government of Mexico is really unorganized, but you'll be able to do it. And that's what I had to do for me to create a life here. So let me see before I forget anything. I don't want to let you guys go. But, oh, another thing I wanted to tell you guys. The water company and the electric company will ask you for RFCs because they are government-owned organizations. They are not privately owned like it is in the States. The electric company runs the electricity. The government runs the water company. So all that information is found on the government website. And that's what I wanted to tell you. If you are married to a U.S. citizen and they don't have any of those documents, you're a U.S. citizen, I'm not sure exactly, I know that you could get your U.S. citizen partner like a residency card and a consulate in the U.S. I'm not going to talk about that because I don't really know too much about that. I just know that I got a facilitator and my husband got his residency card as soon as we got here. We had an appointment, and 4 days, I made the appointment right when we got here. I had the appointment already made, and we went to the immigration office, and he got his immigration card, and he got his, what else I believe that was it. So that was a process. And then my aunt, like I told you, the one that's from Venezuela, she made the appointment for the both of us, my husband and I, to go get our R.F.C. because that is needed here for our documents. He's gonna live here. Obviously, he needs it. And we both got the appointment at the same time for the R.F.C. at the S.A.T office, and we got a Constancia Fiscal. So we got that document, and he was able to get a CURP because of his immigration card. So that he was able to register himself. He got a CURP also. In regards to the bank account, he can open a bank account. We cannot have a joint bank account. There is no such thing as joint bank accounts in Mexico. Husbands and wives or married partners are not, there's no such thing as only one person on the bank account. So that's that. Other than that, I hope I didn't miss anything or forget anything because this is a very important video for you all. If I missed something, I will put it in the description. I will put on the description also the government websites where you can log in and make appointments and anything that's going to be helpful for you. So thank you so much for hanging in there. I try to make this as fast as possible, but this is a lot of information to digest. So download the number to the WhatsApp so you can make your appointments at the consulate. And they're very local, believe it or not. They're all over the country and super convenient. And I wish you all the best. And I hope that you guys do make your way to Mexico. It is very beautiful. It is peaceful for me. I found my peace in Mexico, believe it or not. I don't think I have never felt this way before. And I wish I would have done it sooner. So anyway, wish you all the best. And just subscribe because I will be putting up some information here and there and documenting the process here in Mexico. Okay? Alrighty. Thank you so much. And Corey loves you guys. Thank you.